My father used to go to the annual general meeting of a vastly unsuccessful company in which he had shares with a pal. And his pal became rather famous because he used to turn up year after year with a small bag containing one large rotten tomato. He was a military sort of a chap with a clipped moustache and a ramrod back, and he used to sit through the entire debacle until it came to the chairman's statement. And then he used to stand up and take careful aim and hurl his tomato at the chairman. And then he used to solemnly leave to tumultuous applause. And my father and he used to go off to the club and get silly. However, the effect on the poor chairman was tragic, because apparently he developed a kind of twitch and started ducking for no apparent reason. And at all AGMs he was a wreck. And I know exactly how he felt. A while ago at a regional meeting, I was having my usual harangue about how bad the work was, when I came over all benevolent for some reason, and I said that the work was good, but not great. And then a voice from the back shouted out, "All right, what's the difference?" And there was a long silence, and then I got back to insulting people, which is what I do best. However, at each subsequent meeting, the same horrid voice shouted out the same horrid question, until it became almost traditional. Frankly, I'd have preferred the tomato. Anyway, I've had a go. And I can tell you that I've watched 40 hours of award-winning commercials. I've catalogued the techniques. I've listed the genres. And I still haven't the faintest idea what the answer is. Sorry about that. Bye. Nah, not really. Actually, I still haven't the faintest idea what the answer is, but I may have a few hints. And please settle down. This is going to be a long journey. What do you do when you don't know the answer to something, you don't know how to do something? You ask somebody who does. So, I've asked a few pals. The first guy I asked was Alfredo Marcantonio. Now, if anybody knows the answer, Mark does. Let's see what he said.
I tried to imagine the IOC putting advertising into the next Olympics. And what would I suggest that they put on the scorecard for the judges at the event? Well, first of all, I guess it would be impact. Because if an ad doesn't grab the attention, then it's failed at the first hurdle. Secondly, relevance. Because it's no use grabbing somebody's attention with words or an image if they aren't relevant to the selling message or the product or the service that the ad features. Thirdly, originality. Because any fool can copy. It takes a genius to invent. Fourthly, believability. Am I convinced by the message in the ad? Will I go out and do what it's asking me to do? Lastly, and in a way just as important as impact, memorability. Will the ad live on long after I've turned the page or turned off the television? A good ad scores 5s, 6s on all of these criteria. A great ad scores 9s and maybe even 10s in each of them. Advertising as an Olympic event. It beats synchronized swimming.
Impact, relevance, originality, believability, and memorability. I'm not sure about the believability bit, personally, but the rest are on the button, I think. Before we go on, I'd like to say that I'm not going to go through loads of reels of ads that don't quite make it. Ads that started up intending to be great and ended up not very good at all. There are plenty of them. You can find them especially on a little reel I found called the TV Register's Best of the World 1994 and Best of USA 94. They're spectacularly bad. And in fact, I can't seem to find a 95 version. Perhaps we sensibly didn't invest in it. But there's some horrible stuff in there. There doesn't seem any real point in going through it, but if you ever have a minute, sometimes it's worthwhile, because you can't understand how wrong they could have been. And I wonder if other people are looking at our work and wondering that. Makes you think a bit, maybe. Maybe they stopped trying to improve their work once they'd had an idea. Maybe they thought good enough was good enough. It isn't, is it? Maybe they just didn't work hard enough. Anyway, back to Robim. Relevant, original, believable, impactful, memorable. Here are a few that seem to me to qualify.
Roger, Manhattan. Continue descent to flight level 80.
Roger, Heathrow, descending to SL80.
Manhattan, that's correct. Contact radar director on 120.4. Roger, Manhattan. Continue to 2,000 feet, reduce speed to 170 knots.
Every year, more people choose to fly with British Airways to more countries than with any other airline. In fact, every year we bring more people across the Atlantic than the entire population of Manhattan.
Manhattan, you are clear to land. 28 right.
British Airways, the world's favorite airline.
Внимание, внимание. Это красный одновременно на пассажиров на нос.
Next day there. Really nice is next evening here. Very nice.
Having no choice is no fun. That's why at Wendy's, every hamburger isn't dressed the same. You'll get your choice of fresh toppings, fresh tomatoes, fresh lettuce, fresh onions, cheese, bacon, and more. Having a choice is better than not.
Is next swimwear.
Choose fresh. Choose Wendy's.
They're great. They're famous. What could have been done to make them slightly worse? Merely good. Manhattan could have skimped on the effects, saved a bit of money. Levi's could have had a better-looking hero, more like our target market consumer, you can hear somebody say. Wendy's could have got a director who shot just like Sedlmeier, only cheaper. So, refuse to give in when quality is at stake. If the job needs Tony Kaye, get Tony Kaye, not Bertram Kaye, the well-known wannabe. if you're going to make a commercial, make it the best it can be, because you're not going to get a second chance at it. If you believe you're right, go to the wall for it. Lose your job over it if necessary, because sometimes the difference between good and great, between obscurity and fame, for you, your client, and your agency, is your own stubborn refusal to give in. So I thought, let's ask somebody who sees thousands of commercials. So I asked Jim Smith, the owner of the Clio Awards, and he asked a few of his pals, and here they come.
One of the tried and true forms of comedy is the classic guy in a tuxedo slipping and on a banana peel, falling down and crushing his back. Everybody laughs at that, year after year after year. I think that kind of humor is funny. I don't know why. It says something a little bit sick about us humans when we take such raucous laughter when we see someone in that kind of physical pain.
So here are a few award-winning examples of slapstick.
Headaches can suddenly appear. Trio gives quick and effective relief.
Hungry? Cup of noodle. Missing.
Yeah, those work, don't they? It seems to me that Nissin have been turning out those for years, and they don't get any less funny as time goes on. It also strikes me that you can save a lot of money on production with slapstick and still get a laugh for what it's worth. Here's Lee Clow.
I think if I had to do one word, it has to have likability. I mean, you have to do work that ultimately rewards people, and that you can break through the malaise and end up, I like them for that, by being shocking, by being humorous, by being touching. I mean, there's a number of different emotions that advertising can work on, but ultimately I have to like you for how you just did your advertising. So I wouldn't want likability to be confused with you got to be humorous all the time, although humor is a very good tool, but you ultimately have to reward the viewer. And so whether it's the intelligence or the wit or the charm or whatever, I think ultimately I liked them for doing that commercial is I think a very important goal.
So, likability. Not easy to define, but here come three commercials that seem to me to be just charming.
のりこさんがパーマをかけた。学生時代から目立たず地味だったのりこさん。この会社に入ってからも。
悪いね。
はい
いつも残業ばかりで。
いいんです。別にすることもないし。卵もつけて。
そんな彼女の人生を変えたのが三菱のフォークリフト。電気で動くから。
静かね。
足元が広いから。
楽よね。
能率はぐーんとアップ。かくして残業もなくなり、彼女はインド舞踊を習い始め、そこで彼氏を見つけた。
のりこさん。
それから彼女は明るくなって。
のりこ。
その上彼女はおしゃれになって。
のっこ。
そして今日パーマをかけた。
フォークリフトも三菱重工。
はい、戻りましたよ。赤ちゃんの髪が見えて。赤ちゃん見えてきました。いいよ。髪が見えてきました。出てきました。はい、赤ちゃん出てきましたよ。太郎ちゃん。
可愛いですね。可愛い男の子ですよ。おめでとうございます。
よかったですね。
Fujifilm, as recommended by the world's top photographers.
Of course, charm and likability are important. But if you're not careful, you end up with them as a requirement, and the requirement turns into a strategy that says warm and friendly quickly turns into ads that are warm and fuzzy. And warm and fuzzy is how you feel just before you throw up. So I'd avoid those like genital lice. But Lee also mentioned rewarding the public. And that's something I really believe in. If you're going to walk into somebody's living room and interrupt him watching his favorite television program, you'd better be bloody fascinating or you're stuffed. So here are some ads that reward the viewer without being warm and pukey.
Anytime you choose, kick off your shoes, rest your weary eyes, or catch up with the news. Our favorite book review, our perfect company, so relax. Forget about the blues, you're doing fine. Leave your cares and worries behind. Loosen up your tie, watch the world speed by. Relax.
More classics, eh? But how easy it would have been, for instance, to leave George Raft out of the Alka-Seltzer spot. Save a bit of money, same script. And if we're going to spend all that money on effects, do we really need Carl Lewis? And surely Tony Kaye shooting that, surely the BR spot would have been just as good without all those effects in it. Saved a lot of money. And in all seriousness, think about it, they'd still have been good ads, wouldn't they? Incidentally, I had a written reply from some of the guys I asked, and here's one from Bill Westbrook at Fallon McGilligan. And he tells me how sorry he is that he can't actually do a video. And then he's written, the difference between a good ad and a great ad? Sex. All the best, Bill. Well, I think probably tells us more about life in Minnesota than about ads, but thanks, Bill, and here's one for you.